Time is now 5:48 p.m. The Subcommittee on New Offenses and Change Penalties will come to order. Clerk will call the roll.
Chair Lauterbach, Representative Bowers. Here. Representative Little.
Aye.
Representative Money. Here. Representative Moody.
Present. Quorum is present. All right, just a quick reminder, anyone present wishing to testify before the committee, please register at the kiosk located in the hallways behind the hearing rooms. If you require assistance in registering or testifying, please get with the committee staff and they will assist you. We do have a number of bills still left on the calendar, and so to accommodate all those who wish to testify, there will be a time limit of 2 minutes per witness during the public testimony period. So I would please ask you to keep your remarks within that time frame. That doesn't count against any questions that are asked of you by the members of the committee. What do we have? Oh, there it is. All right. I started the engine for you.
I didn't see anybody right there.
I got your microphone on.
Appreciate you.
Organized Bowers on behalf of.
Chair lays out House Bill 108 and recognizes Rep.
2181.
2181. Okay. House Bill 2181 and recognizes Representative Shaheen to explain the bill, which will be accomplished by letter B.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and now everyone knows one of my nicknames.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. But I hope you don't mind if I do it from here, if I lay it out from here.
Oh, you're fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. House Bill 2181 seeks to increase the penalty if an individual engages a prostitute and is discovered she is a victim of sex trafficking. It aligns the penalty with repeat offenders. The state of Texas ranks number 2 in the nation in sex trafficking. This fact is even more horrific when we understand the average age of a sex trafficking victim in Texas is a 12 to 14-year-old little girl. Although Texas is making great strides in the battle against this evil, there is more work that needs to be done and addressed to the demand side. HB 2181 aligns the penalty for individuals who solicit a person who is also a victim of sex trafficking, again with repeat offenders. By elevating from a state jail felony 180 days to 2 years, a $10,000 fine, to a third-degree felony 2 years to 10 years and $10,000 fine, the bill gives prosecutors stronger tools to strengthen deterrence and helps disrupt the demand that drives sex trafficking. Members, I'm happy to take questions on behalf of Chairman Shaheen, and I reserve the right to close.
Members, are there any questions for Representative Bowers? Seeing none. You are ready to close.
I close.
Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against HB 2181? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Shaheen, Representative Bowers should close on the bill.
I close. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Chair hears none, and HB 21A is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 2113 and recognizes Representative Reynolds to explain the bill.
Good evening, members. Thank you, Chair Lauterbach, and members of the committee for the opportunity to lay out House Bill 2113. I'm honored to introduce my Child Victim Protection Bill. The unfortunate reality is that children are particularly susceptible to sexual abuse and often lack the capacity or support systems to pursue justice. When children do come forward, authority figures often fail to address the abuse, enabling sexual predators to continuously and systematically prey upon young children. Under current law, a person commits a Class A misdemeanor if they observe an offense of a sexual or assaultive nature being committed or was about to be committed against the child and does not assist the child and are immediately reported to law enforcement. What this bill does is clarify the definition of sexual offense against a child to include continuous sexual abuse of a child, indecency with a child, sexual assault of a child, aggravated sexual assault committed against a child. Additionally, House Bill 2113 establishes a second-degree felony if their lack of action led to a subsequent sexual offense against a child, and establishes a third-degree felony for the offense of knowingly hindering the investigation or prosecution of a sexual offense against a child. However, if the person complied with a duty to report the sexual offense, that is a defense to prosecution under the law. I'm currently working on a committee substitute that will ensure that the failure to stop or report sexual offenses committed against a child is classified as a Class A misdemeanor. Members, I urge you to consider the safety of our children and ensure that those who remain silent in the face of abuse are held accountable. And with that, members, I will close and reserve the right to close. I close and for now.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions for Representative Reynolds? Seeing none, are there anyone else who wish to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2113? If not, Chair recognizes Representative Close on the bill.
Thank you, members. Today, we have an opportunity to take a stand against those who remain silent and complicit in the sexual abuse of children, and to be unwavering advocates for the protection and justice our youth deserve. Our children deserve better. House Bill 2113 addresses this issue by increasing accountability and enhancing protections. With that, I close and ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, members.
If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. The chair hears none, and House Bill 2113 is left pending. Is that 1255? I can't see anything. Man, how do you see that over there? What a sharp idea. The chair lays out House Bill 1255 and recognizes Representative Toth to explain the bill.
Thank you, Chairman, members. My freshman year, in the House, I was on criminal jurisprudence, and I hated enhancement bills. So I'd like to lay out my enhancement bill for you right now.
Well, thank you.
House Bill 1255 is a critical piece of legislation that addresses a grave concern. It's the betrayal of trust by professionals who are legally obligated to protect our kids. Everyday parents entrust teachers, doctors, counselors, and other mandatory reporters with the safety and well-being of our kids. And these positions, these professionals hold positions of authority and trust, and with that comes a profound responsibility because these kids are entrusting them, which gives them opportunity, in fact, to hurt them. When this trust is violated, a child is harmed by someone meant to protect them, and the outcomes are devastating not only for the victim, but for the integrity of our community as well. 1255 seeks to ensure that such violations are met with appropriate consequences. This bill reinforces our duty to protect our kids by elevating the criminal penalty by one category when a mandatory reporter is convicted for certain offenses against a child under their care. The bill specifically targets crimes that involve physical and/or sexual abuse or exploitation of minors. Moreover, this bill emphasizes the seriousness with which Texas regards the protection of our kids and upholds the sanctity of professional roles entrusted for our children and their welfare. I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Representative Toth? Thank you, sir.
Look for the opportunity to close.
Thank you. The chair calls Brett Ligon. We show you registered as Brett Ligon,
Ligon?
Montgomery County District Attorney,
Yes,
and
sir.
self. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
On, for, against the bill?
4.
For the bill. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman, members. I'm here to testify on behalf of House Bill 1255 that Representative Toth has filed in regards to several issues that one discussed very briefly. As the District Attorney in Montgomery County, we have 2 specific divisions that deal with elected officials and with public officials. One of them is the Public Integrity Division. Oftentimes, people think that it's crimes that are committed by police officers that we investigate the most. But because Montgomery County is such a great county, that rarely happens. The number one crime that public integrity is dealing with in Montgomery County are school teachers having sex with school children. That's the first one. And the second thing is internet crimes against children. And oftentimes, the way that the teachers are grooming these children are through the cell phones. And so, of course, you wouldn't invite a stranger into your home, but your child has the stranger on their phone, or the teachers, or what have you. And so 1255 is an incredible bill. It's a simple enhancement. Oftentimes, we have to arrange cases that we can stack charges or ask for a stacked sentence, because the behavior that teachers would engage in, or somebody, a caregiver such as a doctor, nurse, teacher, or a daycare, it just really doesn't fit the top end of the crime. So it doesn't affect probationary cases, doesn't affect deferreds. What it does is give juries opportunity to go higher. Doesn't really change the bottom end, particularly on 2nd and 3rd degree felonies. So that's why I'm asking for your favorable consideration, testifying on behalf of House Bill 1255.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions for the witness? Go ahead, Representative Bowers.
I just want to say, first, thank you, Mr. Chairman, but thank you to the DA, because my colleague explained his bill, but it just really, with your backup and being a resource and for it, really helped to make me clearly understand, why this is important. So I want to thank you, and as well Representative Toth, for bringing this legislation.
Thank you.
Mhm.
This is a lot easier than last night.
I'll say.
Thank you.
Is anyone else who'd like to testify on, for, or against House Bill 1255? Now the chair recognizes Representative Toth to close.
I want to express my gratitude for hearing this bill. Guys, this is just so important. Punishment is increased by 1 level. However, if the offense is punishable by a felony of the 1st degree, the punishment is offset, or it may not be increased. And it's appropriate. This is really appropriate. Anyone in the state of Texas is considered a mandatory reporter. But those that kids just automatically make themselves vulnerable to, those are the ones that we should really throw the book at. And I want to express my gratitude to our district attorney from Montgomery County. Is the best one in Texas. And no one works harder at putting bad guys away than Brett Ligon does. So I want to express my gratitude, and with that I close.
Thank the both of you. If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Representative Bowers? One
Representative Toth,
Toth,
I'd like to sign on to your bill
late
tomorrow.
question.
Would you join author it with me?
I certainly will.
I'd be honored.
Yes, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.
for bringing this legislation. I look forward to us working together more.
You bet.
Thank you. Mhm. I'll
you.
see you tomorrow on the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Chair hears no objection, and House Bill 1255 is left pending. Find it.
Right here, this blue one.
Oh, my God. Oh, my The chair lays out House Bill 3167 and recognizes Representative Cook to explain the bill. Chairman, if you will.
Thank you, Chairman Louderback and members of the committee. Appreciate the opportunity to lay out House Bill 3167. This bill results from a task force that was put together last session as a result of House Bill 1826. The task force was called the Organized Retail Theft Task Force and was housed within the Comptroller's Office to study the effects of organized retail theft, also known as ORT, to look at the effects on the Texas economy. Members, I can't understate to you the amount of loss that has been endured by Texas businesses at the hands of emboldened criminals who commit ORT. Data from the Texas Organized Retail Crime Association estimates that the Texas retailers have lost more than $442 million to ORT crime, and this must stop. These criminal networks overwhelm the loss prevention teams at places like Home Depot and Target. Those are some of the companies that came throughout the interim over the last couple of years, and many other companies, but those two come to mind as two of the ones that really were being innovative and in trying to combat this, but they do need our help, and that's the purpose of House Bill 3167, to combat the sophisticated techniques that the criminals are using. They're also selling these goods on the black market, taking price tags off and changing packaging and things like that. This is not just a simple smash and grab type of shoplifting. It's a criminal enterprise, and we must create the organized retail theft as an offense. And House Bill 3167 establishes a robust legal framework to deter ORT crime, namely an actor commits an ORT offense in one of the four ways. They act in concert with one or more people to steal merchandise, money, or property from a merchant. They steal merchandise, money, or property from a merchant on 2 or more occasions within a 180-day period. They knowingly obtain a benefit from conduct constituting an ORT offense. Or number 4, they knowingly act in concert with one or more people to overwhelm the security response of a merchant or peace officer to commit ORT. The bill also creates a legal presumption that the actor has the intent to commit ORT if they altered or removed a label, price tag, or security tag, or transferred retail merchandise into different packaging. Within House Bill 3167, it sets out the different levels of the offense, anywhere from a Class B misdemeanor up to a first-degree felony. Members, Ms. Bowers made a comment a while ago to Mr. Toth that she really understood the layout better once the district attorney got up and described it, and I will tell you that that's about to happen again. We definitely have had assistance from the district attorneys, multiple district attorneys from the state of Texas, in putting this draft together, and I know that we're going to hear from at least one, maybe more than one, but I just ask that you listen to what they have to say and that you give your favorable consideration. Be glad to answer any questions. Would like an opportunity to close when appropriate.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions for Chair Cook? Okay, sir. Thank you. The chair calls John Buck Clendenin. Buck Clendenin. And you're registered as Buck Clendenin of the Montgomery County Constable Precinct 4
That's correct, sir.
and representing yourself.
That's correct.
Okay. On for or against House Bill 3167?
4.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I'd ask that you please bear with me as I'm not a public speaker and a little bit nervous today, but it is an honor to speak before each of you. Again, my name is Buck Clendenin, and I serve with Montgomery County Precinct 4. Today, I want to shed some light on some of the dangers that law enforcement officers face when interdicting an organized retail theft, which is a growing issue across communities nationwide, and we're seeing it here in Texas as well. While retail theft may seem like a nonviolent crime, at first glance, it often puts officers in unexpectedly dangerous situations. When responding to these incidents, officers never know what to expect. Thieves may be armed, under the influence, or part of organized retail crime rings, making even routine calls very high risk. In many cases, suspects become aggressive or attempt to flee, leading to foot chases, vehicle pursuits, or physical confrontations. These encounters can escalate quickly, putting both officers and bystanders in harm's way. Additionally, law enforcement faces increasing scrutiny with every decision analyzed in real time, with events often recorded and shared on social media. The pressure can often complicate already tense encounters where officers must balance enforcement with de-escalation under split-second conditions. In our area, we've seen suspects take extreme measures to avoid capture, as retail theft is no longer just about single individual shoplifting. It is increasingly being driven by organized groups who steal large amounts of merchandise, quickly flee, and resell it, funding broader criminal networks that also engage in narcotics, weapons trafficking, and identity theft. Strengthening penalties for certain crimes can serve as an additional tool for law enforcement by reinforcing the deterrent effect of the justice system. That's all I have, and thank you.
Well, thank you. Members, are there any questions for this witness? Seeing none. Thank you, Captain.
Honored to be here. Thank you.
Now the chair calls John McCord. And you're registered, Mr. McCord, as John McCord of the Texas Retailers Association,
Yes, sir.
and you're on for or against House Bill 3160?
In favor of.
Favor of. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Representative Money. Appreciate y'all taking a few minutes this evening. As Chairman mentioned, I'm John McCord with the Texas Retailers Association here in support of HB 3167. Here in Texas, the retail industry employs about 3 million people, and in addition to being a fairly significant revenue generator for the state, we're also responsible for more than $90 billion in direct income across Texas. I want to be very clear at the outset here. Organized retail theft is not the theft for need. Rather, ORT is the theft for greed by sophisticated criminal networks. During the course of ORT, there are typically two sets of perpetrators: the boosters, or the individuals who actually steal the items, and the fence, which is the person or people who collect and resell those items for profit. Oftentimes, these individuals are only a piece of a much larger criminal organization. This was the case in a recent raid in Houston. What began as an investigation of 4 men with earpieces and communicating throughout stores, stealing thousands of dollars of name-brand clothing in Katy Mills Mall, ultimately led to a raid of a short-term rental some 40 miles away. That raid linked these 4 individuals to a case in South Texas, where it was discovered that one of the suspects in Katy had shipped about $200,000 of stolen merchandise from Minnesota to Laredo late last year. Ultimately, that search warrant identified 98 individuals linked to a Mexican cartel organization believed to be responsible for more than $100 million in retail theft across the country. While we can sit here and talk about the amount of products stolen and the impact that it has on everyday consumers for the rest of the evening, what is often overlooked in this conversation is the retail employee. A recent study showed that 80% of retailers say ORC incidents are increasingly violent and aggressive, putting both our employees and other customers at risk. As I close, and happy to answer any questions, I do want to take a moment to thank both Chairman Cook and District Attorney Tharp, who will follow me in a minute, for their tireless efforts on this issue. There is no magic bullet to fix ORT in Texas, but HB 3167 is a vital first step to make sure that we can combat this across the state. Happy to answer any questions.
Members, are there any questions for the witness?
Yeah, I think I'll go
Money.
first. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for bringing this bill, and for Chairman Cook for bringing this bill. It's a major issue. It seems to be getting worse in Texas,
It
and
is.
we need it to get better. This is a kind of thing like the broken window theory. When people start to think that it's open season, it gets worse and worse. And I don't want to live in a world where we have to have armed guards at every retailer. But I also don't want to. I've been standing at the checkout line when people just ran out
Yes.
of the store holding arms full of clothes. It's and I have a friend who worked at a local retailer and told me how much they lose each year, and it's staggering, and it does put them in an unsafe situation as employees. I don't think anybody wants to live in a society like that, and we need to crack down on it. And I thank you for bringing attention to this and giving us an opportunity to work on this.
Absolutely appreciate it and could not agree more.
All right, thank you.
Quick question, Mr.
Sure thing.
McCord. I think maybe we ought to highlight a couple of things
Sure.
even for the committee's sake, that in the retail world, what we're dealing with today, especially in the urban centers, is basic theft during the day, where they are coming into a golf shop and taking a set of clubs and walking out with them, and the tenants or employees there are not permitted to stop them. And then we have, in certain cases, a lack of prosecution there.
Sure.
So I'm especially proud of Chairman Cook for bringing this to the attention, because it's a little bit different in the rural world
It is.
than it is in the urban setting. Do you find that to be true?
I do, and you can kind of see the way different retailers lay out their stores in different settings. And you know, you'll have some stores where certain products are behind a glass case or, you know, protected in some way in certain areas and they aren't in others, and that's just indicative of the level of crime sometimes in that area.
Have you found that in our society, when there are no consequences, that things get worse?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Of course.
Go ahead, Representative.
One aspect of crime that I didn't bring up, but I think it's important, and you could speak to it, I think more, is we've heard people talk about, well, let me just say this. Site selectors, when they're looking for where to bring a retail store.
Sure.
So I live in a town that's outside of the Metroplex area. We all want, hey, why won't this store come here? Why won't that store come here? Can you talk a little bit about how crime statistics play into that and theft in particular?
Sure. I mean, it's certainly an aspect of that, but what we are seeing more and more is that while traditionally you have those dense urban settings and your crime rate is sometimes higher, particularly in the theft area and those around ORC in those areas, what we are seeing more and more is, and I'm not going to pick on any one area, but just as an example, that you'll have a group operating out of DFW that will hit stores in the Metroplex and then kind of go down 35, hitting individual stores that way, or here in Austin and kind of work their way down 35 and hit Buda and Kyle and San Marcos and New Braunfels, and then, so it's kind of along those corridors right there that you see a more dense activity, particularly around ORC.
Sure, and so it affects the communities as well, because while retailers are fighting against Amazon and online ordering and trying to keep brick and mortar alive, where people can have jobs and go and buy their product right off the shelf that day, if those become unsafe and just economically unfeasible, we're going to lose the opportunity to go into a store in our town and
Sure.
and buy things.
Sure. I mean, you're absolutely correct, and you know, it's a challenge that we face on a daily basis, and we're trying to adapt and cope and be able to provide the products that our consumers want as best we can. You see a lot of the headlines, particularly out of California and New York, about smash and grabs and that type of ORC. Texas has 2 of the top 10 ranked cities in the country for ORC activity. So it is here. It is every day. We are facing it on a daily basis. It just doesn't get the headlines that it does along the coasts.
Thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair calls Jennifer Thorpe. You're registered as Jennifer Thorpe in the Comal County District Attorney's Office. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Tharp. I'm the Criminal District Attorney for Comal County.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You are testifying on for or against?
4.
Thank you.
I have to say this is a year's worth of work. I had the privilege of working with the Comptroller's Task Force with multiple prosecutors, law enforcement, but also retailers. I've had the benefit of walking different retail establishments to learn how they've had to change their operation of doing business. I've heard stories of mom and pop shops having to close their business because of this particular crime and how bad it's growing. I will tell you, when you look at 3116, the way it is currently in the penal code, it is absolutely unworkable for prosecution, and it truly does not address the variety, the manner, and means on how organized retail theft is actually committed. And so I'm happy to answer any questions and go through it. I am intimately familiar with every word in House Bill 3167. Like I said, it was a long time coming, but I'd like to just highlight and touch on some of the statements that Chair, you mentioned, and Representative Money, you've mentioned. Just recently, we had a case where it was a group of 3 individuals went into a retail establishment, walked out the front door with a handful of merchandise right past all points of sales. Good Samaritan sees this happening and tries to intervene and stop, almost is struck by the car with the getaway driver. So I have a Good Samaritan who was trying to impact and stop this happening, almost lose their life, and then it led to a high-speed chase, as the deputy constable testified to. Multiple officers were involved in it, and ultimately a mom going to pick up her kid in the middle of the day was T-boned by this driver. She survived, but this is the type of danger and harm. Organized retail theft does not just impact stores, it impacts employees. I had another case where an employee had a taser pulled on them and deployed. Something needs to be done, and I would submit to you 3167 is the manner in which it should be done. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for this witness?
Thank you, Mr.
Money?
Chairman. So I want you to touch just a little bit on what differs between organized retail theft and just someone going and getting a large amount of product themselves.
Correct.
And also, well, start with that, and then I may have follow-up questions.
Sure. So in Section 5 of HB 3167, it lays out the 4 different manner and means that is being proposed, and it changes under prong 1. You have to act in concert with 1 or more other persons to unlawfully appropriate retail merchandise from a merchant, and here's the key part, with the intent to deprive the merchant of the property. And so you have to look at, it's not just a simple theft offense by one person, but it's that true retail theft. Looking at that, you'll see in this bill in sections 1, 2, and 3, and 4, we changed some of the definitions. We also talked about the layout with regards to the evidentiary rules that would apply. Trying to bring in a careful common sense approach to this. Currently, in terms of evidentiary aspects, regular theft, 3103C3, allows for a prior theft offense to be considered by the jury in terms of whether or not that person committed. In the same vein, a prior organized retail theft offense could be considered to see, is this truly just regular theft or is this organized retail theft? Additionally, other aspects of the bill looks at, was the security tag removed? That's another piece of evidence. And then also trying to clarify with regards to presumptions. Presumptions is under Section 5. It talks about the intent to deprive the merchant of the retail merchandise can be inferred where the tag has been altered or removed in terms of the theft detector or transferred from the original packaging to different packaging. So trying to carefully look at it and understand that organized retail theft is different than just regular theft. And right now in the penal code, they are the same level of criminal offense. And what you'll see under prong, I guess the 3rd manner and means, which is knowingly obtains a benefit, that is to, as John McCord testified, you have the boosters and then the fence. The people are receiving these stolen items and then selling them on the black market. Why is that important? Well, I'll tell you one case in my county, $31,000 worth of baby formula. $31,000 worth of baby formula was stolen from 2 stores in my community. Not only did those 2 stores lose out on that, but baby formula, as you know, has to be kept in certain temperature. So then I had moms in my community who couldn't even give their children baby formula because we lost $31,000 worth of baby formula. I've got moms out there potentially looking on Facebook Marketplace to buy baby formula. Something's got to be done. And we tried to be really careful in terms of looking at the whole issue, not just how you commit the offense, but what evidence comes into play, how does it come into play. Another simple thing we did is on the indictment, clarifying that you can describe the property and the range of value, but you don't need to list out every single canister of baby formula. We don't need a 50-page indictment. So happy to answer
Yeah,
else. I don't know if I answered it
No,
directly.
no, that's great. And I want to, I want to catch these guys and lock them up for as long as we can. And you're the person who does that. So, how do you know whether they're acting in concert with someone else
question.
when you might, like, let's just say your Good Samaritan had successfully tackled that person and you've got them? How do you know?
Every case is different. The example that I gave you, how we established that is we had surveillance video from the parking lot to show all three of them came in the same vehicle. We had surveillance video within the store to show how they were moving and operating. We had surveillance video when they left. We also got search warrants to get into the phones. And then you had the high-speed chase where they're all three in the vehicle. Sometimes it's more difficult than others, and I'm glad you asked that question because when you look to Section 5, what is not a defense is, for example, let's say I have 6 people that potentially have been alleged to have committed the offense, but I only have strong evidence to prove my case beyond a reasonable doubt on 5. The fact that I prosecute 5 does not mean that because I'm not prosecuting number 6, it doesn't mean these 5 haven't committed that offense. And so, again, trying to carefully think through this. There can be situations where we have 6 people that were a part of it, but at the end of the day, I only have enough evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and the standard's still the same for every criminal offense, those 5.
But even if you were only able, I think the way I read it, even if you were only able to get one, are you, if
You
you
still
can-
have to prove in concert with.
You have to prove that they're in concert with, but let's say let's say the in concert with guy got away. You can't find him.
I can't prove it under that first manner and means because I still have to show that they're in concert with another person to commit retail theft. However, let's say it's that one person, but they've gone into that same location and have committed retail theft 5 times in that store in the 180 days. That's where prong 2 comes into place.
Okay.
But again, there should be a difference. If it's just one person and I can't prove that another person was a part of it, that's theft. It's not retail
Right.
theft.
Okay. Thank you.
One clarification, you are representing yourself.
Myself
Thank you.
and my office. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
The chair calls Nancy Aber. Okay. Thank you. The chair calls Kirsten Budwine. We show you registered as Kirsten Budwine, and you represent,
Texas Civil Rights Project against the bill.
and that's all?
Sir,
Okay, thank you. You're testifying on for or against
against.
House Bill 3167?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Again, my name is Kirsten Budwine. I'm a policy attorney with the Texas Civil Rights Project here in opposition to the bill. During the Senate hearing of the identical bill, Senator Miles echoed the basis of our opposition today, which is that this new offense will sweep up low-level thefts based on survival or need. Our main concern is with the potential conflation of organized retail theft and petty theft. The November 2024 Organized Retail Theft Task Force report distinguishes between these two offenses by stating that shoplifting usually involves a lone actor taking items for personal use, while organized retail theft involves a network of people taking a large quantities of merchandise. We worry that specifically Section 31.16A2 of the proposed ORT statute may engulf people acting alone and taking items like baby formula, diapers, or food for their children, if done on, quote, 2 or more occasions within a 180-day period. This language does not require that that person act in concert with another. This is especially troubling since the interim report claims that law enforcement, district attorneys, and retailers sometimes have conflicting notions regarding what defines a crime as organized retail theft. It is also my understanding that the general theft statute starts as a Class C misdemeanor, which does not hold jail time, while the organized retail theft statute starts as a Class B misdemeanor, which does hold jail time. We further emphasize this distinction between organized retail theft and petty theft and urge the committee to reject this bill as it's written, as it may enhance penalties for impoverished people seeking to survive. Thank you.
Members, are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3167? If not, the chair recognizes Chairman Cook to close on the bill.
Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate the opportunity again to lay out House Bill 3167. Be glad to answer any questions. I think obviously DA Tharp, but they covered it all, but happy to answer any questions. And I just would close with just this statement saying organized retail theft is devastating to our state's retailer and the economy as a whole. I want to leave you with this final point. The Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists directly correlates low-cost, high-reward ORT, like we're talking about, to larger criminal activities like drug trafficking and human smuggling. And that's why we must take action with House Bill 3167. I would appreciate your favorable consideration. The Senate companion is SB 1300 by Senator Flores, and it's over in the subcommittee, and I would appreciate the committee would consider voting the Senate bill out at your earliest convenience. With that, I close.
Thank you.
Great bill. Thank you
Thank you.
for the work on this.
You bet. Appreciate it.
Everybody who worked on it.
Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you. Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
We
Representative.
don't have enough to vote it out right now, but we'll hopefully do it soon.
If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Hearing none, House Bill 3167 is left pending. Find it over here. The chair lays out House Bill 1572 and recognizes Representative Campos to explain the bill.
Good afternoon, Chairman and
How are
committee
you?
members. Can I pass this? Unfortunately, some of the witnesses had to leave, but thank you so much for allowing me to lay out House Bill 1572 relating to mail theft. Mail theft has become a growing concern in recent years, leading to financial fraud, identity theft, and other criminal activities. Both individuals and organized crime groups frequently target mailboxes to obtain sensitive information. Additionally, workers delivering mail, whether employed by the Postal Service or private carriers, often face risk of harassment, assault, and other threats while on job. In the 86th Texas Legislature, HB 37 was passed in relation to the creation of criminal offenses of mail theft. However, there are still some loopholes that need to be addressed. HB 1572 seeks to close the loopholes and deter mail-related crimes, enhancing the safety of those responsible for delivering mail to Texas residents. Specifically, the bill introduces a legal presumption of intent to steal mail if a person is found in possession of stolen mail belonging to 5 or more different individuals. And 2, amends existing law to classify assaults against an on-duty mail carrier or delivery service worker as a third-degree felony. These changes aim to streamline legal action against offenders and increase the severity of penalties to better protect those responsible for mail delivery. I'm open for questions, and I respectfully reserve the right to close.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Representative Campos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that Carlos Ortiz? I can't. Chair calls Carlos Ortiz. Chair calls Carlos Ortiz.
Mr. Chairman, he had to go back to San Antonio.
Okay, thank you. Chair calls Homer Hernandez.
He had to leave as well.
Okay.
He gave a written statement.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 1572? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Campos to close on the bill.
Thank you. House Bill 1572 will better protect workers delivering mail and decrease mail theft. With that, I respectfully ask for your support. I think it's really important that we support the mail carriers and we make sure that they're taken care of, and that thieving, whoever decides that they want to thieve needs to be held accountable. And this bill will definitely do that to keep our carriers safe and others that do deliveries, because everyone's just trying to do their job and make a living. And so with that, I close.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you.
If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Chair hears none, and House Bill 1509 is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 2590 and recognizes Representative Olcott to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I really appreciate the opportunity to lay out this bill, 2590. Under current law, an individual who is convicted multiple times for the charge of indecent exposure faces an escalating penalty for additional convictions. A Class A misdemeanor if they have one conviction, a state jail felony if they have two convictions, and up to a felony of third degree if the actor is civilly committed as a sexually violent predator. However, if a person is charged with indecent exposure that had a prior conviction of public indecency with a child, that person cannot be charged with the higher penalty because the code doesn't consider that conviction in the escalation. This bill would allow for a person who has a conviction, requires them to register as a sex offender to be charged with state jail felony rather than a Class A misdemeanor. Parker County DA Jeff Swain, who's one of the impetus for me bringing this bill, is here as a witness, and he can address a specific case for this. He's the one that prompted the legislation, and that's one reason I'm here. And I'm happy to answer any questions, although I was wondering if there's any procedural mechanisms I can use to avoid questions from Mr. Money. He's a very skilled attorney, and he
No,
kind
there's
of
not.
intimidates me. Is there a way to do that?
No, sir, there's not.
Okay, that's too bad. Okay.
Thank
But anyway, but I'm happy to answer the questions, but I reserve my right to close.
Thank you, Representative Olcott. You can be seated now.
Okay, thank you.
Chair calls Jeff Swain.
I'd like it noted for the record, he said I was skilled.
Noted.
Put that in the journal.
You're registered as Jeff Swain, District Attorney of Parker County, and you represent yourself.
Yes, sir.
On, for, or against the bill?
4.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Jeff Swain. I'm the District Attorney of Parker County, and I'm testifying in support of House Bill 2590. This is my 30th year as a prosecutor and my 5th year as the elected DA in Parker County. I thought it would be helpful to explain the genesis of this bill to the committee. Essentially what happened last year, we had a set of cases that came to our office from Weatherford Police Department in which a man was observed masturbating in his car at a Walmart, at an Albertsons, and at a Target, all within a fairly brief period of time. One of the cases, actually 2 of the cases, the women that observed this man described him as following them around at a particular point in time. One of the times when he was observed masturbating by his car, he was looking at this woman as well as her 3 young daughters. So this is a person with some serious sexual deviancy. Ordinarily, these cases would be Class B misdemeanors of indecent exposure. There is a provision, as Representative Olcott described, for those to be enhanced up to a state jail felony with 2 prior indecent exposure convictions. Our office had sent this man down to prison back in 2010 for 2 different indecency with the child by exposure offenses. Obviously, he got out of prison a long time before these crimes that we're talking about currently. So Weatherford PD thought that those would be fine. They forwarded the cases to us as state jail felonies using those as enhancements. When I got to looking at it and looking at the law, I found that even though it is the same conduct except worse because it's indecent exposure except to a child, oddly, that didn't allow for an enhancement. So we ended up having to ship these cases over to our county attorney's office for misdemeanor prosecution, even though that, I'm sure, was the intent of the legislature when they put those enhancement provisions in the law. So got with Representative Olcott's office as well as Senator King's office. We wrote up this bill, and we thought that the easiest and most simple way to correct this problem, rather than try to hone in specifically on saying, well, this time we're going to add indecency with the child by exposure for the enhancements, we would just make it, if you have a prior history of sexual deviancy indicated by your registration as a sex offender, then that would be the enhancement. And we didn't think you needed 2 convictions. If you got convicted of something that made you register as a sex offender, then that would be sufficient. So I see that I'm out of time, and I would urge your passage of this bill. I think it's a narrow, common sense addition to existing law.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Representative Mundy, do you have a question?
No, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for bringing this to the attention of your excellent state representative.
We're proud to have him.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2590? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Olcott to close on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. Appreciate the opportunity to lay out this bill and appreciate your favorable consideration. I close.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative. If there is no objection, the bill will be left pending. Chair hears none, and House Bill 2590 is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 108 and recognizes Representative Plesa to explain the bill.
Thank you so much, Chairman Lauterbach and members, for giving me the opportunity to lay out House Bill 108 with you today. In Texas, most civilians can legally purchase and wear body armor, such as bulletproof vests, without special permissions or licenses. There are no registration requirements, background checks, or licensing processes, making it relatively straightforward and easy. Compared to many other states, Texas law is notably permissive in this area. It is important to emphasize that this legislation does not seek to change that. House Bill 108 does not restrict law-abiding Texans from owning or purchasing body armor. Instead, it targets those who exploit this legal protection during the commission of a violent crime. While protective gear is legal for most, using it while committing a crime can lead to significant concerns for public safety. This is because the presence of body armor during a criminal act signals an intent to resist or confront law enforcement. Texas law already bars convicted felons from possessing body armor, and this bill builds upon that by strengthening consequences for misuse during serious offenses. House Bill 108 establishes enhanced legal consequences for individuals who wear body armor while committing a violent crime. I anticipate a committee substitute that will specifically bracket this bill to ensure it applies only to violent felonies. The use of body armor in past violent instances, such as the Sutherland Springs and the Allen Mall shooting, where I lost 3 constituents that day, demonstrates how it can escalate threats and hinder law enforcement's ability to intervene. Other states, including Arizona, Florida, and West Virginia, have implemented similar enhancements for better protection for our law enforcement officers. House Bill 108 aligns Texas with these efforts, empowering prosecutors to pursue more effective charges when body armor is used in violent criminal activity. This bill did pass out of this committee last session, and I appreciate you, Chair, and members for hearing it today. All of us are committed to making sure that Texas is as safe as it can be. By imposing harsher penalties on violent criminals who use body armor to protect themselves while they're committing a violent crime, that ensures that we as Texans are standing against these violent criminals. Thank you so much for your attention today. I think I have a witness here who can better expand on the need for this legislation. I am happy to answer any questions you guys might have, and I reserve my right to close, Chairman.
Thank you. Members, any questions?
Thank you so much.
Chair calls Chris Jones. You are registered as Chris Jones, Combined Law Enforcement Association of Texas.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you all working late tonight. I'm also a retired sergeant from Houston Police Department, and
You're on or against the bill?
I'm for the bill.
Thank you.
And I don't have to remind you that as law enforcement officers, we have a duty to use the least amount of force necessary to effect an arrest. We have seen more cases of criminal suspects wearing body armor, and we've also seen more cases of body armor being stolen to be used by these people. And when you encounter somebody that's wearing that body armor, and you immediately lose a lot of the ability to use less lethal force because they are protected from tasers and other instruments you might use by being protected by the body armor, and that leads to escalation, and we don't want to escalate force if we have to, don't have to. So anything that we can do to encourage and put an incentive on people not to use this for criminal purposes would be, I think, good for public safety, and so that's why we're in support of the bill, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Members, any questions? Thanks, sir. Appreciate what you do. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 108? If not, the chair recognizes the representative placed to close on the bill.
Thank you so much, Chairman and members, once again for giving me the opportunity to lay out this bill. Once again, I'm not against body armor, or I'm not trying to infringe on anyone's right to purchase this. I will be submitting a committee sub to explicitly say that this is when someone is committing a violent crime. And with that, I'll answer any questions and close.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, members. And thank you for staying late as well.
If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Chair hears none, and House Bill 108 is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 1509 and recognizes Representative Hicklin to explain the bill. There is a committee substitute. Chair lays out the committee substitute for House Bill 1509. Is there objection to the adoption of the substitute? Hearing none, the chair lays out the committee substitute and recognizes Representative Hicklin to explain the substitute.
Great. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Committee Man and Chair. This is the House Bill 1509 and involves the penal code. Any assault of a child, namely aggravated assault, sexual assault, is a horrific offense which deserves the maximum penalty for any individual who commits the crime. An individual who knowingly allows abuse to continue is complicit in the harm being done to that child and should face stricter penalties for failing to protect the victim. Currently, in statute, certain individuals who have not assumed care, custody, or control of a child who fail to stop or report aggravated sexual assault of the child would be charged with a Class A misdemeanor if convicted of this offense. The committee substitute for House Bill 1509 increases the penalty to a felony of the third degree. An increased penalty for this offense could act as a deterrent for those who hesitate in reporting this abuse and could potentially save a child's life. Children who are being sexually assaulted need protection and support from any individual, regardless of familial relationship. We have a moral duty to be a force for change and to ensure no child suffers in silence. Chair Lauterbach and committee member, thank you again for the time to lay out this bill. I do have a witness that will share a specific case that occurred in our district and was the impetus for this bill. So if there are no questions, I reserve the right to close.
Any questions for Representative Hicklin?
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair calls Lisa Van Gilder. We show you registered as Lisa Van Gilder. It would be representing yourself.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You are testifying on for or against House Bill 1509.
4.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Lauterbach and sir. My name is Lisa Van Gilder, and I'm here to testify in support of House Bill 1509. While my knowledge of this topic comes from being a police officer, I am here as a citizen of the state of Texas. When I first began reaching out to my state representative about this bill, it was about honoring a little girl named Shanna McAlpine, who was taken from this world by a monster in disguise who was allowed into her life by the one person whose job it was to protect her, her mother. In 2019, Shanna was only 2 years old when her mother's boyfriend brutally murdered her. Shanna, along with her siblings, was a victim of child abuse from the offender. Additionally, it was allegedly believed that Shanna was also the victim of sexual assault of this offender. Her mother claimed to have suspicions but never reported it or saved her daughter from what would be a lifetime of pain. The night Shanna was murdered, there were a few hours between the attack and her last breath. In that time, while she was slowly fading away, her mother did nothing to get her medical treatment, and instead, the offender initially had time to get away. This case was one of my academy partners' first murder cases. It shook officers both new and seasoned to their core. It rocked our department and our city. Initially, only the offender was charged with the crime in an attempt to get the mother to cooperate. And even though she has since been charged and convicted, this fueled a fire inside of me that has lasted since then and will follow me through my career. I have never stopped thinking about Shanna, how scared she must have been, how much pain she must have felt, wondering why no one was coming to save her, taking her pain away, or protecting her, or stopping this monster from harming her. Through my years in patrol, I've taken multiple reports of child sexual abuse or a variation of. While these investigations and the initial reports are part of the job, the ones that have stuck with me are the ones where a child reported sexual abuse by their stepfather or mother and didn't come until a year or two later when they finally decided to divorce the man. They never got the child the help that they needed. As the law stands, a penalty for failure to report a felony and failure to stop or report an aggravated sexual assault of a child are both misdemeanor charges. I am asking that the state recognize the significance and the difference between the two, and I ask you to raise the penalty for failure to stop or report an aggravated sexual assault of a child to a felony offense. Thank you.
Questions for this witness?
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Is anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 1509? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Hicklin to close on the bill.
Yeah, as you can imagine, this is such a hard thing, and something that we take seriously with those who are entrusted with children and their welfare. That they have a responsibility to report a crime, and that is a real responsibility that has real consequences for not doing that. So thank you so much for hearing this very heavy subject matter, but I appreciate it, and I hope that you look favorably on this bill, and I close.
Thank you. If there is no objection, Chair withdraws the committee substitute. Chair hears none, and the committee substitute for House Bill 1509 is left pending. Okay, is there an objection? It is withdrawn. The chair hears none, and the committee substitute, House Bill 1509, is left pending. If there's no objections, 1509 is left pending.
The hearing will go on and,
Representative Money, you gonna come to work?
huh? Whoa, there we go. Just stay for 2 weeks. I will try, I'm gonna try, so, okay, all right.
And hey, I'm 30 seconds. Okay.
Thank you, Representative Money. The chair lays out House Bill 3189 and recognizes Representative Kerwin to explain the bill.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Member. HB 3189 is the School Bus Protection Act. Very simple, very clean, but a big, big problem. Came to me from a Johnson County resident who is also here to testify today. In the 88th legislature, human trafficking was made a first-degree felony if it occurs on or within 1,000 feet of a school or university. This noble legislation left an unintentional gap, which traffickers can exploit. HB 3189 fills that gap. It also adds to our previous work on school zones by including school buses and areas within 1,000 feet of school bus pickup and drop-off zones designated by the school districts. I know it's hard to believe, but children in Texas have gotten off their school bus and have never been seen again. Others have been approached, recruited, and groomed by traffickers while waiting at the bus stop, riding on the bus, or during school pickup and drop-off. HB 3189 will protect our children and punish the criminals who intend to harm them. We cannot afford to leave our children vulnerable. And with that, I reserve the right to close, and we have witnesses.
Thank you.
Okay.
Members, are there any questions for Representative Kerwin? We'll move to witness testimony. Chair calls Mary Wells. You are registered as Mary Wells from Breaking the Chains and yourself.
Yes.
Is that correct? Thank you. And you're testifying on for or against House Bill 3189?
For.
Thank you. Go ahead.
As she said, I am the Johnson County resident that came to her and let her know that the bus had been let off the original bill. And with that, believe it or not, traffickers saw it and started working that angle. Knowing they couldn't do it at schools, they were going to get them at the bus stops. So we are asking y'all to pass this bill to make it a first-degree felony if they are doing it at the bus stops.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair calls Courtney Litvack. We show you registered as Courtney Litvack,
Yes, that's correct.
representing No Trafficking Zone and Self.
Yes.
Okay. And you're testifying on for or against House Bill 3189?
4.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you so much and good evening, committee. I thank you so much for continuing to be here with us. This is such an urgent issue as this is life of matter and death for survivors, victims, and their families. I know this all too well because I'm a survivor of sex trafficking from Houston, Texas, and I was trafficked from my own high school. I'll keep this brief, but again, my name's Courtney Litvack. I'm also the current Director of Survivor Initiatives for the No Trafficking Zone, but I also was a presidential appointee by President Donald Trump, and I also served under the Biden administration as a U.S. Advisory Council member, where we inform the federal agencies to help fill in gaps at the federal level, but really helping understand how does this happen in our schools at the local and state level. I was trafficked across our great state of Texas, and it began at my top-ranked high school in Katy ISD. Grooming and targeting of individuals happens at our schools on a rampant basis because schools serve as ground zero for predators to prey on our children. 55% is the number in a study done in Texas. 55% of victims were first approached, targeted, and groomed from their school campus. I was groomed by fellow peers and athletes at my school, but little to the school administrator's knowledge that cartel members and MS-13 gang members had long since infiltrated not only my high school, but our school district. Teachers are already tasked with so many things that they are concerned with making sure each student receives the top education that they need. But when our students are faced with issues such as these and they lack the knowledge and they are so ill-equipped, we need bills such as House Bill 3189, because I was picked up by a convicted felon at my high school during school hours, and this individual proceeded to traffic me, and then I was sold to another trafficker by my former peers at my school for a finder's fee of $500. I still to this day do not know the dollar amount that my life was promised to my next trafficker, but these individuals were already convicted predators, but they were released early. They received probation or deferred adjudication. All of these things, I encourage you and I tell you from firsthand experience, increasing and making sure harsher penalties are in place for crimes such as these. That is one of the only deterrents for our traffickers. There's very few things that makes a trafficker think twice. But when you mess with their money, their profit, and their victims, and time is money, when you put these harsher penalties in place and let them know that this will no longer be a high reward, low risk crime, it should not be easier to traffic drugs, to traffic children versus trafficking drugs. But this is a $245 billion annual enterprise. There is so much incentive. Therefore, Texas and this committee is strategically positioned. And I urge you all, as a survivor, on behalf of so many victims whose lives were taken from them, I am the exception. But my testimony is not all that rare because my traffickers are still not convicted in trafficking other individuals. So I encourage you all to put yourselves in the shoes of survivors, and I ask you to please support the passing of House Bill 3189. Thank you so much. And I'll take any questions at this time.
Thank you. Questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The chair calls Jacqueline Ludo. We show you registered as Jacqueline Ludo
Yes, sir.
of No Trafficking Zone, and you represent yourself.
Yes, sir.
And you are testifying on for or against House Bill 3189.
I'm for this bill.
Thank you.
Um,
Go ahead.
Good evening, Chairman Lauterbach and committee member. Thank you so much for staying late. Obviously, you heard this is a very important issue. I'm the president of an organization called No Trafficking Zone. We break down human trafficking into markets because it's a $245 billion business. So when you have a business like that, you have to really understand the different markets. We learned in 2020 that one of the biggest markets were school districts, and that's where children had gone missing, been murdered, were brutally raped, were being broken into by being gang raped and then sold on tracks and on the internet, which was very alarming for us. We learned this because we build cases with local, state, and federal agencies. And so this was something for us that became really a high priority. When we did the bill in 2021 with Senator Taylor, we had assumed that school buses and locations were a part of it because there was a local girl who had went missing and has never been found. She was walking off of her school bus to go to work and she was never found. And then this became a reoccurring occurrence that girls on the school bus were being groomed and trafficked, not just on the school bus, but in the school bus stops. And so when we sat down to see that we had missed this, this was a big problem for us because in the state of Texas, 79,800 youth on any given day are trafficked. And if 55% of them are being trafficked from the school system or connected to the school system, that is such a horrific problem. Why this isn't a first-degree felony it is so alarming to me. I don't even understand it. And every session we have to come here to keep on adding locations and zones when the whole crime of human trafficking, raping a child, buying and selling someone, slavery of our time needs to be a first-degree felony. This is not just sex trafficking. This is drug trafficking. This is organized crime, and this is money laundering. And so I'm urging you today, when we talk about public safety, when we talk about leaders in positions of power, to do the right thing and protect our communities, please make this a first-degree felony. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Questions?
I have a question, and maybe it's for you, and maybe it's for the bill author, and maybe it's for someone else entirely. But where this says, or a school bus stop, or other area designated by a school as a pickup or drop-off zone for students. So in my small town, there's not a bus stop. The bus just stops on the street, and I don't know if that's where it is, like everywhere else as well. But so would this apply to within 1,000 feet or of any place? Every day at 3:45, the bus stops at this intersection, and the lights go on, and the stop sign comes out, and the kids get on and off. There's nothing that designates like school bus stop here. So my question is, does this bill apply to that location where the bus frequently stops, or does it only apply if there is a school bus stop designation? Is that
right? Yeah,
I understand or is that someone else?
You're saying that may be Rep. Kerwin, but what I would like to say is I would hope it would apply to all of it. Because if you're targeting children, which predators do, and you understand that that's...
death penalty. I'm fine. Like, I'm not going to have a problem escalating this to what it needs to be. I'm just wondering about for enforcement purposes, if you took every place that the bus usually stops and did a 1,000-foot circle around it, and then you have other buses that stop at different places and 1,000-foot circle around that, you're probably covering the whole town, which, once again, fine by me.
Yes.
But I just want to make sure that for enforcement purposes that the language of the bill is sufficient for a DA to prosecute and say, sorry, pal, you were in the zone.
Sure. I'm going to leave that up to Rep. Kerwin.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair calls Krista Shield.
Shield.
Shield?
A shield for your constitutional rights.
We show you registered as Krista Shield, Hunt County Precinct Chair, and yourself.
Yes.
Correct?
And I'm speaking in favor of House Bill 3231.
You are for House Bill
3189.
Is that what this is? Okay, because this is about increased penalties for trafficking of minors and disabilities. It's the next bill. That's what I signed up for. May I speak on 3231?
Not right now.
No? Okay.
Okay. Do we have permission to change your registration? Want to delete that one? She did both.
So clarify, you're not wanting to testify on this bill?
On this bill?
Correct.
Just that I've had experience in Texas as a junior high student years ago of being approached by somebody on my way to school.
Do you want to testify on this
And
bill?
sure, I will testify on this as well. But I had to go to,
We just need to make sure to protect the bill that it stays to.
We have to do it by the rules or else it gets a point of order later.
Let's go back over some things
I
then.
thought it was under the right bill.
You're here from Hunt County Precinct Chair and yourself.
And myself.
And you want to testify on House Bill 3189.
Yes, I'll testify on that as well.
Okay.
Yes. And we are getting to 3231 as well, correct?
That is this bill.
Okay.
We're clear?
Yes.
Okay.
3231. Yeah.
Please,
Okay.
you're restricted to this bill.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
understand, Chairman.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. So I can just quickly speak to this bill because I've personally had experience with being picked up on my way to school or trying to be picked up on my way to school by a child predator back in 1983 in Carrollton, Texas. And I had to get to my school, get to the crossing guard, get to my principal, and sit down and give him as much information as I could. And so anything that we can do to protect our children and from being picked up and just doing their everyday normal activity, and especially a safety zone that should be school. I'm for that. So thank you, Chairman. Thank you, member.
Thank you.
Thank you. The chair calls Perla Hopkins.
Yes.
Perla Hopkins is not here. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3189? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Kerwin to close on the bill.
All right, thank you so much, Chair and member. If you don't have any other questions, I move to close.
Question?
My question, I see where it says on there, a school bus stop. Have you talked with DAs or with somebody in law enforcement that is just comfortable that covers it?
Yeah, our new DA in Johnson County, who is actually, this is one of his biggest priorities, is the trafficking issue we have. We have discussed it, and that's how it got so broad in the bill.
Sure.
With shelters and events and school functions and community centers and homeless. It's within 1,000 feet of all of that. Now, to answer your question about in the street, and I understand, I see school buses dropping off in the street, and that is something that is not listed here.
Yeah.
It's designated by the school stops.
So here's where I'm coming from, and I don't need an answer on this right now, and I'm voting for your bill regardless. But if I send my kid out in the morning and I say, hey, you need to be at the bus stop by 6:45, that my kid knows that means next to the stop sign on the corner of Johnson Street and Stewart Street or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the bus stop colloquially, but there's nothing there that would indicate that it's a bus stop to anybody except for the people that know that that's where the bus stops.
Well, I think it would be it'd be designated by the school because it's on the route.
Okay, so the school has a map, I guess, of where it goes. Mr. Chairman, could you answer my question?
In the school bus world, in the legal, the stop itself, where the stop is accomplished, because we have rural, we have many places. So if a place is marked for a school bus to stop, that would not be part of the legal structure of your bill, probably because a school bus has to stop at many places, and they vary based upon some traffic flow. They based upon various conditions. So wherever that school bus can safely stop, turn the lights on, flip the stop signs out, from that point, from that spot where that bus is sitting, that's the safe zone. That's where everything takes place from there. And this is where your 1,000 this is where your 1,000 feet emanate from.
Okay.
Now, if a school bus goes a half a mile to pick up the next child, then that is an ever expanding circle that moves with that bus from where it goes from stop to stop to stop, whether it's in a block of a city or whether it's out in the county as it goes to pick up country kids.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So it would be the bus route and wherever it stops
Yes,
along the route.
it'll be the bus route for that particular bus.
And so,
Thank you.
am I right that if you're drawing 1,000-foot circle around that, you're going to cover a lot of ground in a lot of towns?
You would. The circle shifts, I'm sure, with the bill, because there are many zones where criminal activity is a higher penalty. So drug-free zones, if it happens within 300 feet of a school block, different things like that. So that, but for this particular case, because a bus is mobile, your circle must be mobile.
It's just wherever the route is determined where the bus will pick up or drop off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Is that good, Rep?
That's great. Thank you.
Awesome.
It's good to have a professional up here.
Boy, I'll tell you.
Thank you, Representative. If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Chair hears none, and House Bill 3189 is left pending. 3231. Well, where is it? 3231. 31, is that it? Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Chair lays out House Bill 3231 and recognizes Representative Kerwin to explain the bill.
All right, thank you. HB 3231 is the companion to Senator Paxton's SB 1212. In spite of the volume of human trafficking that occurs in Texas, our state has more lenient penalties than most other states. The horrific crime of trafficking should have a penalty that reflects its gravity. Currently, human trafficking is a second-degree felony in Texas in many instances, with the offense increased to a first felony only under certain conditions. HB 3231 raises the penalty of trafficking to a first degree in all cases with no exceptions. The people of Texas deserve for individuals threatening them to have a punishment that reflects the gravity of their crime. HB 3231 does just that. Members, I am open to any questions.
It's great
Are
bill.
there any questions for Representative
Thank
Kerwin?
you.
Thank you.
It should have been done a long, Texas was the first state to implement felony charges, and we are one of the few that still has second-degree felony. So it's
Long
long
overdue.
overdue. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll move on to witness testimony. The chair calls Mary Wells. We have you registered as Mary Wells, breaking the chains of human trafficking, and yourself.
Yes.
And you're testifying on for or against House Bill 3231.
4.
4. Thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Mary Wells. I'm the president of Breaking the Chains of Human Trafficking. We are a 501c3 organization devoted to rescue, restore freedom, and provide hope for the future for recovered human trafficking victims. I didn't always know about human trafficking. It was May 2nd, 2018, when 2 state troopers came to our door to tell me that our daughter had been killed. They said that she came out of a car going 85 miles an hour down North Texas Tollway, and that a homicide detective would be calling us. When he gave us the phone call, an hour later, he told us that our daughter had come out of a known trafficker's vehicle. I'm sorry. Detective Cheney of the Dallas Police Department gave us the details and said that the reason that they knew that is because he was very well known. He had had several other charges of human trafficking, and the only penalties he had was 6 months probation. And there was 2 that we know of, girls that he had thrown out of a vehicle at the same, not the same time, but at different times. And all he had was 6 months probation because human trafficking did not hold a penalty. Recently, we had a case of a young man that was trafficked until the age of 14. Like I said, we help human trafficking victims now. And his trafficker pled guilty to human trafficking and to sexual assault. He trafficked this young man all over Texas. And he was given 7 years because he pled guilty. A week later, the young man decided that the state didn't care about what was going on with him, that the prosecutors didn't care. They only gave him 7 years, which he will not serve probably a day in prison. That young man tried to kill himself the following day. This is re-victimizing trafficking victims by letting their predators go free, by not giving them any kind of a sentence, but yet this young man's going to live with it for the rest of his life. and his predator is going to be out on the streets before this young man gets out of the hospital he's in now. We're begging for you to pass this 3231 into law. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Yes, do y'all have any questions?
Thank you. Chair calls LaTressa Giddens. We show you registered as LaTressa Giddens, representing Breaking the Chains of Human Trafficking, founder, and yourself.
That's correct.
That's correct. And you're testifying on for or against House Bill 3231?
For.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I am here before you today to encourage you to support the life-changing anti-trafficking legislation, House Bill 3231. Currently, the crime of human trafficking comes with only a second-degree felony, which results in a low-risk, high-reward scenario. There have been instances of less than 3 years being served, while the victims spend a lifetime recovering from the severe emotional and physical trauma of being trafficked. I would like to share about a victim taken to the emergency room by her traffickers who were holding her small child as collateral. After surgery to repair multiple internal injuries, she pulled her IV out and left with her traffickers during the middle of the night. 3 years later, she has still not been recovered. We are seeking for this crime to be classified as a first-degree felony, thereby making the risk versus reward far less enticing for the traffickers. My ultimate prayer is that the services of Breaking the Chains and other organizations like ours are no longer needed. Until that time comes, Texas should send a message that human trafficking will not be tolerated in our state. That can be accomplished by increasing the penalty to a first-degree felony. I appreciate your time and consideration of this bill.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Chair calls Courtney Litvack. We show you registered as Courtney Litvack, no trafficking zone, and self.
Yes.
Okay, and you're testifying on for or against House Bill 3231?
For.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for continuing to hear this critical conversation, to hear not only from survivors, but from the family of those who have been directly devastated and impacted by this. When I say that my case is rare, I say in the stance that 1% of victims make it out of this crime. That's very hard to wrap my mind around, and in fact, a lot of us survivors experience survivor's guilt. But when I get to stand here before you all and to share my testimony for purpose, that's where I make it count and know that it is not in vain. My journey in life in the years that were taken from my family and I could have unfolded very differently had trafficking and all the crimes committed against me and my peers as children and then continuing as young adults had already been established in Texas as felonies. It all goes back to our schools, as that is the #1 constant for all of our children should be in school. But my traffickers felt safer coming to pick me up during school hours on school campus in broad daylight and would return me back to class. And in fact, my parents never even received a phone call that I was not in school. I was marked present for classes that I was being trafficked during. And this was at a very well-rounded school. But there's so many gaps for students to fall through, and I started to uncover all of these other intersections of organized crime that go hand in hand with human trafficking. But in fact, several of the traffickers I was trafficked across the country by all graduated from my high school. But as this continued, because the harsh reality is that many of the worst sexual offenders, including traffickers, will go on to commit even more severe crimes the longer that they go without facing accountability or serious interventions. In fact, my traffickers included arrogantly boast that they feel invincible and unstoppable and untouchable.
Excuse me just a minute.
Yes.
You have to stay on this bill.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and this is for House Bill 3231 to increase the penalty to make it a felony for human trafficking in the state of Texas. And that's all bringing it back to when I think about my darkest moments, and empowers me to remember that all of the things that I was able to witness firsthand and that I should not be alive and here able to share my testimony with you all is to speak on behalf of the millions of victims, but at least hundreds of thousands of them come from her great state of Texas, including myself, including Julia Wells, who tragically lost her life, and her mother is here sharing her testimony because she is not here to share it herself. So I urge you all, please, please support the passing of House Bill 3231. And I also just ask for you to bring it back to not only as committee members and as a chairman, but as fathers, as uncles and godfathers and grandfathers. Think of your sweet babies and imagine if this would happen to them, you would do anything to bring their perpetrators to justice. Thank you for letting me share my heart with you all. And I thank and give God all the glory for being able to stand here today. So thank you.
Thank you. Chair calls Jacqueline Aludo. We show you registered as Jacqueline Aludo, representing No Trafficking Zone and self.
Yes, sir.
And you are testifying on for or against House Bill 3231.
On.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, Chairman. I'm the president of an organization called No Trafficking Zone, where we specialize in human trafficking and we break down human trafficking into markets. Every session we come here and we keep on adding locations of first-degree felonies because every year we encounter hundreds and thousands of victims who have either lost their lives or been brutally raped and bought and sold. It's so exhausting. It's actually so exhausting to see how many people are suffering and that the crime doesn't match the penalty. I don't know what other crime where you can buy and sell another human and rape them over and over again and use them as a commodity, as much as traffickers do, where it's a $245 billion industry, where the state of Texas alone pays over $4 billion in the damages of human trafficking, and that's just what we can track. That this is still a second-degree felony, except for in the locations that we've made no trafficking zones. The whole state of Texas needs to be a no trafficking zone. It baffles me that I'm up here to say this because I work with law enforcement, I work with federal agencies, I work with elected officials, and I'm constantly hearing we have to remove gangs, we have to remove cartels. We work alongside the DEA and HIDTA because it's easier for us to get drug charges because when they're selling the kids, when they sell them to the same circuits and networks, they're selling drugs. They're also drug trafficking them. They put the children on drugs.
You have to stay on this bill, please.
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
I am. And
Yeah, let me clear up one thing too. You said on when your registration. Your registration says for.
Yes,
so
sir.
let's clarify that. Are you for the bill?
I am for the bill.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. I'm 100% for the bill. This bill is my passion. This bill will be my dream to come true.
It's a technical thing that they have to do to make sure that it's correct for the record.
Okay. So I want to just say this bill is transformative. I know it's late. I appreciate you guys staying here. But can you imagine if we pass this bill this year? This will deter traffickers. This will dismantle trafficking networks. This will become a first-degree felony. It'll be one of the first times where we have our elected officials, our people in positions of power, that put the people first and put children first, where we prioritize public safety and we prioritize children over everything else. So I'm begging you to please be brave. Please do the right thing. Please show parents like Mary Wells and Courtney Litvak and the hundreds of thousands of other victims that live in this state and set an example for other states where we want to be empowered. And so please make it a first-degree felony in the state of Texas, human trafficking. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Questions? the chair calls Perla Hopkins.
She couldn't. Krista. When Krista switched to 3189, did she sacrifice 3231 then?
No, she's not registered.
She can still speak it.
What's the last name again?
This is the felony bill that you.
She
Yeah, so she can go register. She can go register, but she's not registered at all on this
Yeah.
bill. So if you want to go register.
I registered for 3231.
It's not telling you it's not on here, so you can go to the kiosk and register, and we can be at ease while she registers. If you don't mind.
Yes, if you'll help her,
Thank you, Brent.
we'll pause for a minute.
Thank you.
Bringing it, and I'll do whatever I can to help.
Thank you.
Just don't pause.
Do you need help, Krista?
No, I signed in this morning. Oh, thank you. Okay. I'll be back. Thank you, Brent, for staying.
Yes, and Helen.
Yes. Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much.
Mr. Moody, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Need to show,
The last testimony.
She's coming
I'm
back.
so
I
glad.
saw her in the hallway.
I'm
She's
here.
right here. You're back. You made it. And I'm here too.
and Representative Bowers, show her present.
Thank
Loretta B. Chair calls Krista Shield. You are registered as Krista Shield from Hunt
Yes.
County Precinct Chair and yourself,
Yes, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman.
and you're
Thank you,
testifying
members.
on, for, or
I'm
against the bill?
for, yes, I'm for House Bill 3231.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. And so I worked for a counter-sex trafficking organization, and that organization provides target packages for law enforcement. And if it pleased Chairman Louderback, you supported this bill under a different number, and it had the same language, and it was a final submission by Nate Schatzline. Am I not supposed to say this?
Yes, please stay on the bill.
Yes, sir.
Thank
It is
you.
about the bill. And so we had asked for the wording of this bill because of law enforcement that we are dealing with that are on the scene, that are doing operations with the information that our counter-sex trafficking organization has provided. And so they were telling us that they are seeing a lot of reoffenders. And Chairman, I know that you have a constituent that had shared that they had lost their adolescent granddaughter because of a reoffender that was unfortunately raped and murdered by a sex trafficker that reoffended. We had recovered 2 youths, 2 minors last year that were both on the spectrum. In the wording, it includes minors, but also children with disabilities and other abilities. And children on the spectrum and with disabilities are particularly vulnerable to sex traffickers. They are being groomed online to be things like furries and trans for a reason, because we are seeing in the bus that our law enforcement officers are involved in our cases, we are seeing that the average child is trafficked out at $160 for a half hour. When that child is groomed to be some specialty item, then the charge is 3 times as much on these sex ads. Both of those 17-year-olds were recovered. One boy, a Texas boy, was recovered in New Mexico. A Texas girl was recovered in Kansas City. She was actually groomed and trafficked out by an Antifa member from Virginia. So we need increased penalties to a Class 1 felony. These people should not be able to get out of jail and reoffend. You can do the math at $160 a half an hour plus and see that there's incentive for them to do this. And we need to make the punishments much harsher, the jail times and probation times much longer, so these people cannot go back to business with our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Did you have a question?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 3231? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Kerwin to close on the bill.
Well, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And I request to close if there are no questions.
Thank you, Representative. If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. The chair hears none, and HB 3231 is left pending.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, that concludes today's agenda. Is there any further business for the committee to address? If not, the chair moves to adjourn. Is there objection? Hearing none, the committee stands adjourned, subject to the call of the chair.